In the second part of the further story of the Syrian Christians, after Mar Thoma Church, we study about the St. Thomas Evangelical Church of India. Reasons for the formation of STCI. Last class we studied about the Mar Thoma Church, and while the Mar Thoma Church was advancing in all the spheres of its life and mission, there was an anti-reformation group silently working its way up from the early decades of the 20th century. There was a group of people working against the reformation that was brought by Reverend Abraham Alpan in the Mar Thoma Church, started even from the early decades of the 20th century. While the Mar Thoma Church was advancing, I already said, in all spheres of its life and mission. They started lot of missions, lot of evangelical activities, but at the same time an anti-reformation group, a small group silently working against all this, and they wanted to go back to the sacerdotism and other rituals. And it is about this group that Bishop Abraham Mar Thoma wrote in his circular dated 8th March 1923. He wrote a circular addressing this issue, and it says like this. This is the exact quoting and the English translation of the circular sent by Abraham Mar Thoma. He said, "We must note that we have opposition to face. The enemy is active wherever the work of the Lord prospers. There is a band of young men who are against all missionary enterprises, also are ritualistic in their thinking, and who wants to undo the work of reformation that has been going on for some years and bring the church back to sacerdotalism. Though their number is rather small, they are making strenuous efforts to spread their views among the people. It will be a calamity for the church, which is considered to be the most evangelistic and progressive of all Oriental churches, to give up the open Bible, its character of liberty and the full gospel, to call formalism and spiritual indifference." This was the exact quoting of the circular written by Abraham Mar Thoma to the churches about the anti-reformation group. The concerted endeavors of the anti-reformist group to shake the evangelical faith and doctrines of the Mar Thoma Church yielded results. Means this group was fighting against the reformation that happened or that resulted in the formation of the Mar Thoma Church that was brought by Abraham Alpan, and later this group, their interest was to shake the evangelical faith and the sound doctrine of the Mar Thoma Church, and they yielded results. Means finally they won. Though they were a minority in the beginning, now they got an upper hand. You know, it happened when Bishop Abraham passed away in 1947 and Bishop John was installed as the Metropolitan with the name Yohanan Mar Thoma. With the influence and support of this Yohanan Mar Thoma, this anti-reformist group got an upper hand in the church. Steadily and enthusiastically, they went ahead with their program of bringing the church back to sacerdotalism or ritualism. And the attitude of the Metropolitan and his party and their vigorous activities against the Reformation principles of Abraham Alpan caused a large number of people in the church to unite and resist those anti-evangelical tendencies. And a group of people wanted to safeguard the sound doctrine of the Mar Thoma Church. This led to the formation of a movement called the Mar Thoma Patyobadesha Samadhi. It's a Malayalam word, and the meaning of this word is Association for the Preservation of the Sound Doctrines of the Mar Thoma Church, on 29th October 1952. So on 29th October 1952, an association was formed with the name Mar Thoma Patyobadesha Samadhi, or Association for the Preservation of the Sound Doctrines of the Mar Thoma Church. K.N. Daniel, one of the foremost lay leaders of the Mar Thoma Church, and he was a theologian, author of many books, and also a church historian, was the leader of this movement called Patyobadesha Samadhi. The attempts for peace between the Reformation Party and the church leadership became a failure, and the Reformation group was forced to decide for a separation from the church for the safeguarding of the evangelical faith by leaving the church buildings, their seminaries, colleges, schools, and other institutions in the Mar Thoma Church. The immediate cause for the formation of STCI was due to the suspension and later excommunication of 4 presbyters from the Mar Thoma Church for their evangelical stand. The St. Thomas Evangelical Church of India was formally inaugurated on January 26, 1961. Over 30,000 people drawn from all the different Christian denominations, including the Roman Catholics, Brethren and Pentecostals, were present at Bishop Abraham Nagar in Tiruvalla for the inauguration of the church. Priests of the Roman, Jacobite, CSI, Church of South India, and even Mar Thoma Church were present. After the inauguration service, 2 ministers of the new church were consecrated as bishops. The bishops were consecrated by the laying of hands of the entire body of the presbyters representing the old church. The leaders of the new church explained the laying of the hands of the presbyters in the consecration of the bishops with the historical examples from the practices of the pre-Constantine church. The first guidance and support for this practice was received from the practices of the New Testament church. We see that in Acts chapter 9, verse 11 to 12, 15 to 18, chapter 13, 1 to 3, Romans 10, 15, 1 Timothy 4, 14. The second justification for this mode of consecration is on the basis of the consecrations done in some churches during the 2nd, 3rd and the beginning of the 4th century. In the ancient church of Alexandria before AD 328, presbyters used to consecrate bishops. The 12 presbyters of Alexandria elected one of their members as bishop whenever the vacancies arise. Then they jointly consecrate that person as the bishop. And this custom lasted up to the time of Athanasius, the bishop of Alexandria, in AD 328. The leaders of the evangelical group got this information from one of the famous church history books written by H. Pacman Walsh named Lights and Shades of Christendom, which was published in the year 1936. The STCI was formed for the 3 fundamental principles of safeguarding the sound doctrine based on the 66 books, New and the Old Testaments of the Bible. Second, living out an evangelical lifestyle according to the standards of the Bible. And third, for obeying the Great Commission of the Lord Jesus Christ by evangelizing India. When the church was formally launched at a place called Taimala near Tiruvalla, 25,000 believers stood up and raised their right hands and took a pledge that they and their children would stand for the gospel. At the time of its very inception itself, STCI has laid down the policy to be followed in its dealing with other Christian churches in the joint Kalpana or circular number 1, that is the first circular issued by both the bishops, dated 23/1961, issued by its two bishops. Para 3 of the circular reads as follows: "We have constituted ourselves with an all India vision as an Episcopal and Evangelical church on the basis of the New Testament. We recognize all sections of the universal church and will cooperate with all the faithful who are partakers in the free salvation secured by Jesus Christ and who truly love Him and are striving to be witnesses to the gospel of His grace and will work in the Spirit of Christ as a church to attain to this supreme end, to gather in one all things in Jesus Christ, with malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Let us complete the task we are engaged in." Growth of the church. Growth of the church in the initial years was marvelous. The hostile attitude taken by the mother church increased the hardships of the infant church. Marthomites were prohibited by their church leadership from selling their lands to the new church for the construction of church buildings. The Marthoma Metropolitan issued his circular, his Kalpana, number 156, dated 14th February 1961, which was printed in large numbers and sent not only to the parishes and every members of the Marthoma Church, but also to other sister churches, by using his authority as one of the presidents of the WCC and Christ's vicar on earth. In this circular, he has prohibited the issue of letters for publishing bans for marriage to the evangelical church. The publication of bans of marriage of couples, any one of them being a member of the church, the marriage of the women, members of the Marthoma church, to members of the evangelical church, and the partaking in the services conducted by ministers of the church. He also prohibits the members of the Marthoma church from partaking or cooperating or even attending any worship or sacraments conducted by its ministers, and defines such conduct as an offense involving forfeiture of his membership in the Marthoma church, and directs the vicars in the church to take prompt disciplinary actions against such members and to remove them from membership. His main aim for doing all these activities was to destroy STCI in its inception stage itself. The situation of the STCI at that time was something similar to the official persecution of the early centuries. In the initial years, the church members met in houses as early Christians did. But lack of facilities and losing the benefits of being a part of a well-established church did not dry out the enthusiasm of the early believers of the church. Writing after 10 months of the inauguration of the church, P.T. Thomas and P.C. Zachariah, two senior presbyters of that time, give the following statistics. We have formed nearly 200 congregations with a total membership of 25,000. We have 2 bishops, 20 ministers, 63 evangelists and 150 church members. We have constructed a building for the Bible seminary and 40 church buildings. purchased sites for church buildings in another 75 places, and in 45 places church buildings are under construction. In 70 places the people meet in sheds, while in 86 places they meet in houses for worship. A sister church has lent us one of its church buildings for our worship, and in 3 places our people worship in rented halls. In the decade following the inauguration of the church was able to acquire properties in most of the places to construct church buildings and for cemeteries. People stood firm for the growth of the church by resisting all hurdles, including the strong opposition and ridicule from the mother church. However, the initial enthusiasm in the church did not last for long years. Initial struggles and fighting started in the church in connection with the election of a bishop. As a result, a group of people went out of the church and started a new organization called the St. Thomas Evangelical Fellowship of India. The fellowship faction tried to disturb the smooth functioning of the church by filing court cases against the church. As a result of these struggles, many left the church and joined other churches, and some even went back to the Marthoma church. Therefore, the era starting from 1970 till 1995 can be considered as the dark ages in the history of STCI. However, in 1995, a major group of the fellowship faction joined the church, and the entire group joined in 2007. Thereafter, STCI regained its strength, vision and commitments in safeguarding the pure gospel and in reaching the unreached people groups in India. Thank you.